Tomorrow begins the 114th Congress as my colleagues and I are sworn into office, and I renew my solemn oath to protect and defend the sacred freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution and to advocate for reforms and policies that are in the best interest of the hardworking families of Michigan's 10th Congressional District. And last year we celebrated some important legislative victories that helped create jobs and reduce regulatory overreach and increase the federal resources dedicated to preserving and maintaining our magnificent Great Lakes. And we had some important legislative achievements in 2014. However, with Republican majorities in both chambers, I absolutely believe that we can tackle some much-needed reforms that will protect our homeland, create even greater economic opportunity, and preserve Michigan's natural resources for future generations. Specifically, I want to pass a comprehensive strategy to secure our borders, to overhaul our broken tax system, and to stop the Asian carp from entering the Great Lakes, and adopt a new highway bill that provides Michigan with the resources that we need to repair and to improve our transportation infrastructure. First, we must address border security. Now, last year we witnessed a humanitarian crisis, really, as tens of thousands of unaccompanied children crossed our southern border. And then the President's most recent executive order is absolutely certain to make this problem worse. Therefore, border security must be addressed immediately, I believe. We must also tackle comprehensive tax reform. And the best way, I believe, to absolutely turbocharge our economy would be to adopt fundamental tax simplification and reform with a goal to make it simpler and fairer. And I hear all the time from families and small businesses that our tax code has become too complex and that the cost of complying with the tax code is going through the roof, and that has to change. I also believe that we need to stop the Asian carp from invading the Great Lakes, and last year I introduced legislation that would authorize a complete hydrologic separation between the Mississippi River and Lake Michigan to prevent this very invasive, destructive species from invading the Great Lakes. And since its introduction, my bill received a lot of support from local, state, national, even international stakeholders like the Canadians. But it also received a great deal of pushback. In this Congress, I plan to reintroduce my legislation as well as work with my colleagues from the Great Lakes region to identify ways to stop the Asian carp. Look, we all know too much is at stake, and we need to keep fighting for our lakes. This year, the Committee on Transportation Infrastructure will take up the reauthorization of our National Highway Bill, with the final product likely to come before the full House as early as this summer. And as was the case with the Water Resources Reform and Development Act, I'll be deeply involved in this process to make certain that Michigan gets our fair share so that our highway infrastructure can really better meet all of our needs. And in addition to these priorities, we must also focus on regulatory reforms and domestic energy production, including sending President Obama common sense legislation approving the long overdue construction of the Keystone Pipeline that will help to reduce certainly the price of gasoline and as well our reliance on foreign sources of energy. I believe that working with my colleagues from both sides of the aisle in both chambers, I can help advance these important reforms and initiatives that will create more opportunities for all of the hardworking families in Michigan's 10th Congressional District.